Hello DGens, welcome back to the channel. So recently after Jane's launch, I've been watching quite a fair few Zenless Zone 0 videos. I'm talking about guides that like other content creators have come out with that may contain information that I might have missed. I'm talking gameplay videos, of course, for both Jane and Seth. And to be honest, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Because I think that there are a lot of things that are being missed. So in this video, let me talk about the most important points for our brother Seth and how exactly this mouse supports our rat, okay? And if I have made a mistake, hey, feel free to call me out in the comments below. It will be better for everyone. And if I have missed anything else, if there is something that I haven't talked about that is really interesting, that will be really helpful, then let us know down in the comments below. That being said though, let's start off with our boy right here. So to be very, very clear, brother Seth has one purpose in life. That is to support. He is a shield slave. He is a buffing, debuffing slave. At this point in time, my guys, when we're not at like the full giga juiced endgame builds, that is all he is. He is not a damage dealer, not today, one day, but not today. Now, if you do have a giga juiced Seth, then by all means go for it. Like if you have freaking crit rate, crit damage substats that are giga juiced with the attack main stat, then holy hell, your Seth is probably overperforming. But coming back to his kit over here, the only things that matter is these two over here: core passive protector and additional ability high spirit. And so in all of these words, let me pick out the most important parts. Let's start with core passive protector. If you do a couple of different things, you get a shield. This shield scales off of attack. However, it only scales off of initial attack. And so if you don't know what initial attack is, it's essentially the attack that you're going to be seeing on this screen. And how this attack stat is calculated is it's going to be all of these things on this screen. So if I switch to another character so it's not as janky, your W engine, your discs over here, and then resulting into this attack stat over here. Now, the reason why that is so important is because what it means is that in combat attack buffs do not affect Seth's shield. Remember, initial attack, okay? So I'm talking like Lucy's buff. Lucy gives an attack buff. Sokaku gives a combat attack buff. These kinds of things do not affect this shield. All right, and so that is a whole lot of yapping, and I haven't even talked about the most important part. It's that this shield lasts for 25 seconds, but it is giving Anomaly proficiency. And this Anomaly proficiency is actually really freaking good. At max, it goes up to 100 AP, but I certainly wouldn't be recommending going all the way to core skill F for your Seth, at least like for now. But most importantly, if you lose the shield, then your buff goes bye-bye. Goodbye to the AP buff. That's the first out of the only two things that matter for Seth. Let's go back to the additional ability high spirit. And so this one contains the second thing that matters the most, which is the Anomaly build-up resistance decrease for the enemy, keeping in mind that this is for all attributes, including our assault. And so yeah, in summary, for our boy Seth, we have this strategy, which is maintain that shield for as long as possible, maintain that Anomaly build up resistance down, and be on the field as little as possible, because every second that you're spending on Seth is a second that you're not spending on Jane. And look, sometimes that's good because you might be getting the stun from your boy, but other times, especially during the stun window, you're gonna want to be in Jane for pretty much the entire duration. All right, gang, so here is probably what I think is the most important tip of the entire video. And so this is probably the most common combo that I'm seeing people doing. They're going to EX skill to get the shield, and then they're going to use the hold basic attack to then switch into Jane. So I'm gonna do EX skill, you can see the shield is up, and then after that long ass animation, I'm going to hold, and then I see the quick assist, and I'm going to switch into Jane, who is going to have the shield. Now, I know there's no shield there because my Seth is level 1, but at least you can see the shield buff is up. Just trust me, that shield is there. And if you really don't believe me, let's come into effect details over here. Core passive protector, Anomaly proficiency by 50 on our Jane. All right, and so that is like pretty much the standard combo for getting Seth's shield onto Jane. Now, what I'm saying is that that is not what you should be doing for the shield. So the shield lasts for 25 seconds, right? I'm going to turn this guy to moving because I need him to move to get the shield. I'm going to come back to Jane over here, and then I'm going to wait until I can get a yellow flash, Because my guys, this is what you should be doing. You should be doing the parry, the clang, and then going into your Jane. And you can see I have the shield up again. All right, so I've let the buff expire. I'm gonna show you guys again. I'm gonna parry into Seth, clang into the quick assist, and then go into Jane. And you can see the shield has come up again. That is the fastest way to get the shield to get that 50 or 100 anomaly proficiency. Now, that is actually only one half of the equation. Because remember, I said there were two things that were important for Seth. It's not only his shield, which gives the anomaly proficiency, but it's also this one down here. We want the anomaly build-up resistance reduced for 20 seconds to all elements. What you need to remember about this one is that it is triggered on both chain attack as well as the hold basic attack. And so if this debuff lasts for 20 seconds, it means that you can alternate. If you've done a chain attack, don't be going to Seth for the next 20 seconds and doing like the long hold thing. So our enemy is about to be stunned. I'm going to put him into stun, and what I'm going to do is I am going to use Seth and show you what not to do. So let's go, put him into stun, and then I'm going to go Nicole first, and then I'm going to go into Seth. So what's going to happen now is that Seth has actually applied, and this is like a smaller boss, so you can't see it. But after that chain attack over here, he now has that anomaly resistance debuff, right? And so what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't be doing this long kind of like stick him in the ass kind of thing, because that is a waste of your time. You've already got the anomaly build-up resistance down. So as you can see here, you need to be using the parry to get the shield and going into chain combo with the shield already, so you do not have to use Seth and his stabbing move to get the shield later. You want the shield before. You should be having that shield pretty much 100% uptime. In the real world, in actual gameplay, you're going to be parrying with Seth. That shield should be up all the time. You should not need to think about it at all. The only thing you do need to think about is using the charge basic attack. And you should only be using it about, let's say, maybe 15 to 20 seconds after the chain combo has been used by Seth. And so that is how you should be keeping the uptime on both the shield as well as the anomaly debuff. All right, and so the next thing I want to talk about is the EX skill over here. The first thing is that you almost never want to hold it down, right? Remember, Seth is here to support, unless, again, you have the resources to giga juice him into a damage dealer. But until you do, you tap it, right? But to take that one step further, this animation is giga long. And so what we're going to do is we're going to swap cancel it with either our Jane or our support, or whoever your third character is going to be. So for example, tap E going into a reverse swap into your rat. So like this, right? And then you keep doing things, because look, holy hell, he's still going. And the other option would be to go forward. So in this case, I'll tap E with Seth, forward swap into Nicole, who then also tap E into a quick assist with Jane. So tap, tap, and then quick assist, and Jane is back on the field. And we got that defense down debuff from Nicole. And at this point, the only thing you need to do is to hold down his left click to get that debuff on old mate. You don't need to hit the E, your resolve is already there. Just hold that, and then you do the quick swap into Jane. All right, and so the next thing I wanted to talk about is how there is actually no iframe on Seth's hold attacks. So let me go get some resolve first. And so my resolve is maxed out. I am at 1 HP. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to then do the hold attack, and you can see I am freaking taking damage with my Seth. Now, there are two ways to interpret this. And the first way is that if your Seth is uninvested like mine, then he's just gonna die, right? And your run's gonna get screwed. So you need to play more carefully. The second, more optimistic way of looking at it is that Seth can actually tank through all of those hits and still give a shield to Jane. So as you can see, the Jane shield is up. All right, and so that's kind of all for the combat tips. What I want to talk about next is kind of the investment stuff, right? Because I see a couple of not very good recommendations in terms of like W engines or discs and stuff like that. The first thing that I do want to talk about is his core passive. Again, really the only thing that really matters from a resource efficiency point of view. And this actually applies to a lot of characters, not all of them, but a lot of them. There are actually massive diminishing returns after C. So as you can see, from just our base core passive with no upgrades, we are getting 50 AP. But if we upgrade it once to A, we get 62. So that's plus 12 AP. Going to B, plus 13 AP, which is even better. Going to C, plus 10 AP. And then going to D, plus 5 AP. And then E and F are also 5. So what I'm saying is that the biggest increase is going from B to C, because it still gives us 10, but going from C to D to E to F is not really worth it, because it costs the boss weekly material. And you're probably getting like giga limited by these guys because you're trying to get your DPS up to like F, or you're trying to get your stunners to E because they get impact on E. And going from C all the way to F is going to take a lot of those mats. I think it's like maybe 3 weeks worth of them. For 15 AP, I don't think that's worth it. So just leave him at C. If you want to be spicy, go for D. All right, and so the next thing I wanted to talk about is his choice for W engine. Let me just grab the store. And so what most people recommend are either his signature, like no duh, because it gives attack and energy regen. But most importantly, if you are trying to run him with the grace, or even just by himself trying to do the disorder, he's got the Anomaly build-up of his EX special attack and assist follow-ups. There aren't actually very many options aside from that one that is going to be good, because remember, his shield scales off of attack. Because if I go over here, for example, defense, nothing to do with attack. Over here, HP, nothing to do with attack. It gives you impact, like maybe that's all right. If I go for the rabbit butthole, it's defense with attack. But when you look at it, you see that this attack is conditional on when they are shielded, meaning this is combat attack. And I hope you guys remember that his shield only scales on initial attack, the attack that is in his status screen. And so this brings us to our two real alternatives. The first one is this one, Spring Embrace. And the reason is, first of all, it gives attack, which is fantastic. But second of all, it also gives energy regen. And this energy regen buff actually also gets transferred onto characters that get switched in. And so in all honesty, this one is actually like fantastic. But the other option, my guys, because I don't have this one, Peacekeeper, the signature, and I don't have Spring Embrace either. The next best option actually is not any of these, but to actually pick up a W engine from the other classes that has attacks. So for example, I'm looking at Bashful Demon. This is Sokaku's signature weapon. You can see attack percentage. This is still applied. The W engine effect, so all of this is not applied if you use it on Seth, but at least we get the attack buff over here. Now, what you're also going to notice is that there are some with higher base attacks than others. As you can see, when I juice it up to level 60, 624 and 25% attack. But then I come down to Starlight Engine, for example. It has a base attack of 40. Its stat growth is not as good, 594. So what you're looking for is the most base attack, and I think all attack percentages are going to be 25%. That, my degens, is actually the next best option after Spring Embrace, after his own signature over here. So next, let's talk about discs. The first thing is, bro wants attack. I've said it so many times in this video. If we come back to the tune, you want attack in here, you want attack in here, and you want attack in here. The only thing you care about is percentage attack. And the reason is because you're looking for 3750 attack at maximum. If you're able to max out his core skill, the scaling goes up to 80%. But if you're only leaving it at C, then you're gonna need 4.4k attack to push it all the way to a maximum shield. Now, there are two ways that we can do this, right? And here's where it gets spicy. The first is to go all out for attack, right? We want him to be a shielder, and that's all he does. And so in this situation, you're almost always going to be running at least 2 Hormone Punk, because this gives you 10% attack. However, first of all, for Hormone Punk in particular, the 4-piece set, on first glance, it looks really nice because attack increases by 25%, but this is again combat attack, not initial attack. So this is actually useless in the context of the shield. And then switching over to Thunder Metal, which gives electric damage. Okay, cool, a little bit of DPS, but then attack increased again. But again, this is combat attack, not initial attack. So this is also useless for that shield. Which brings us to the two traditional support options. First is Swing Jazz, and second is Freedom Blues. Now, your Jane is always going to be running Fanged Metal. Your support is always going to be running one of these two, Freedom Blues or Swing Jazz. So therefore, your Seth just has to run the other one. That's the first way of looking at it. The second way is the Giga Juicer way, right? Where you're like, screw this, man. I'm just going to build DPS Seth and just go like Woodpecker Electro, Puffer Electro, Hormone Punk, whatever. You're going to go for the crit rate, crit damage, partition 4, or maybe you even go Anomaly Proficiency, Anomaly Mastery. You can actually build him either crit or AP. And that, to be honest, is completely valid if you are hardcore enough to have a small shield, because it doesn't matter how big the shield is, right? As long as you have the shield on, that AP bonus is there for your Jane. So you can freaking go all out, DPS Seth, and pray that you don't get hit, or actually just get good, right? Because you have an active dodge. We all have an active dodge. Just get good, play DPS Seth. that's actually what I would recommend. But if you are just chilling, you know, you've just come home from a long day of work, you don't want no stress, just go attack and take the first option that we spoke about already. All right, and so there is one last thing I did want to talk about, and it's his Mindscapes. M1 is actually really nice because this guy makes us way more comfortably run a DPS Seth, one that isn't completely focused in attack. The shield value is essentially getting an extra 30%. But on top of that, if the shield accidentally pops, then we get an additional 10 seconds. So maybe your Jane is on the field, the shield either times out or you've lost the shield because your Seth is trash like mine. You get an extra 10 seconds on the Anomaly proficiency. I think it's going from like 25 seconds up to 35 seconds. There is like almost no excuse for you to always have that buff up. Other than that though, all of the other Mindscapes, I'm going to click through them. Electric, Anomaly, Buildup. Coming over to 6, we've got freaking extra damage over here. We've got critical hit, critical damage. You can see in the long term, in the long run, Seth is meant to be built DPS. It's not just like straight attack, get the biggest shield possible. Yeah, you get the biggest shield if you just want to chill and be comfy and shit. But we want to do damage. At the end of the day, we're fighting timers. So yeah, just remember, as we progress through the game, you're building all of your other characters up, like your DPSs, your stuns and stuff. Your Seth actually can be transitioned towards a sub-DPS. I wouldn't recommend him as a main DPS, but sub-DPS, 100%. All right, so I've gotten everything I wanted to say off my chest. Anyway, my guys, I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that you've actually learned something from this one. And again, if I did miss anything or if anything was explicitly wrong, let us know down in the comments below. But otherwise, that is the end of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.